let's talk about the 6 biggest questions of the NBA stretch run. We got through All-Star Weekend. We complained about All-Star Weekend. We might complain more about All-Star Weekend. I reserve the right to do that. However, now you've got probably about 40 games to go in the second part of the season. I know there's a lot of people that will call it the second half of the season, but I always feel so weird saying that because it's not half, right? It really isn't if we're looking at it. But okay, let's go along with it. The second half of the season, because I think your Dallas Mavericks have played like 55 games.
Yes, and believe it or not, this year they're 32 and 23.
That is it.
Last year they were 33 and 22.
Okay, but last
here's the difference. Here's the difference.
Yeah.
Last year they came into the All-Star break with a 3-game losing streak.
Mm-hmm.
This year they go into the All-Star break on a 6-game winning streak. And guess what?
Better.
I'll give you one more. 2 years ago at the All-Star break, your Dallas Mavericks were 32 and 23 like they are right now.
So you're saying Western Conference Finals run. That's what I'm just saying. Did you hear that, Ross?
I'm just saying
I heard
that's
Western
what happened
Conference
last
Finals
time. They were
definitely heard that.
I'm
okay,
just
thank
saying
you.
that's what happened the last time.
Okay, very good. I mean, they're playing great basketball. They'll open up the second half, as a lot of people refer to it, against the Phoenix Suns.
27 games left.
So, yeah, we're getting to that place. But in the remaining games of the season, what are the big questions for the NBA at large? And the first one has to do with Rookie of the Year. Has it already been set in stone, or is it still open for interpretation? Early on in the season, I thought it was really interesting because Victor Wembanyama, obviously a true rookie, trying to figure out not just the NBA, but a kind of American living, especially. And then also you had you had Chet Holmgren, who had already been in the system for a year, even though he had not gotten a chance to play.
He got hurt in the summer, not summer league, a fun game in Seattle. It was a game they did for the Seattle Sonics.
Was it like an exhibition game or whatever?
It was like, old heads kept showing up, and then LeBron was there.
Right.
And Chet got hurt.
And so
he missed the whole season.
It felt like he had a little bit of a leg up, and he played early on. He's still been playing very well. But does it feel like Victor Wembanyama's name is already being etched onto the Rookie of the Year trophy, or do you feel like that's still open for interpretation? He's a dude who has been putting up great numbers, but also has been kind of limited by Greg Popovich in a way.
He's been limited by Popovich, which muddies the water. In other words, it gives the opportunity for Chet. If Lively hadn't gotten hurt so many times, I would have thrown him in the conversation as well. He's definitely, they were to redo the draft, he'd be a top 5 pick. Wemby is extremely talented, but Popovich is overprotecting him to make sure that he learns to play the long game. Chet Holmgren is shocking the world by being so good because people must have forgot. He was that good in college, and he's been playing that well for Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City is number 3 team in the West. The Spurs' record is terrible.
Yeah.
And Wemby is being slow-rolled by Popovich.
Yes.
So if he doesn't win Rookie of the Year, it's Popovich's fault.
Yeah, but
he hadn't done enough to me to just make it a lock.
Right.
But I think he truly is the arguably best talented young first-year player.
Yeah, I think that's fair. It's like barring injury, as the 214 says, set in stone, barring injury, because this dude has just been phenomenal. I mean, I think he's getting damn close to like 5x5s, right? Like when it comes to like 5 different statistics where you notch 5.
And this is being slow-rolled. I mean, he's had these moments. It's like
averaging 28 minutes per game.
He's had certain games where he does a lot, and then Pop put him on the bench, or Pop would tell him, "No, I don't want you to do this game." What did you learn the last? He's actually teaching him up. Don't get me wrong.
Pop will develop.
Pop will develop, and again, this is different than Duncan. When Duncan came in, he had David Robinson already in place. So there was some elbow room from Duncan. And Duncan, of course, 4 years in college. Wemby's 19 years old.
Yeah. And so there's a lot. But it does feel like he has a really good hold on it, even though I think that, like you mentioned, there's still opportunities for just maybe Chet Holmgren to get a little bit of a slice of what's happening here.
I think he might get it. I think he really might, only because some people say, I'm not impressed with Wemby. And then the ones who do give it to Wemby, let's say Wemby does get, they're going to like, well, he just got it because he went into the season already. No, he's really that talented. You're just not seeing it on a regular basis.
Yeah. And another thing is that team is starting to, get him the ball more and allow him to, work for him as opposed to letting him figure some things out in his own.
Did you hear what Trae Young said?
What did Trae say?
They asked Trae Young, what would be the perfect teammate? Who would be the perfect teammate?
Oh, Lord.
For Wemby?
Goodness.
He said, somebody that can help him get better and get the ball in great position.
Sure.
He just started grinning.
Maybe someone that can knock down deep threes.
Like from the stands if he had to.
Someone with kind of thin hair. I don't know, maybe.
And doesn't mind Madison Square Garden.
About 6 feet tall.
Yeah, from Oklahoma.
Yeah, something like that.
Yep.
How about this as we continue to ask questions, the important questions for the stretch run in the NBA. Is anyone in the East a real threat to the Celtics? The Celtics have looked like a fantastic basketball team this year. Best record in the league. 6 games clear of their next closest opponent in the East. I mean, who are the strong teams in the East? When you look at the Sixers, you thought that, but Joel Embiid has been lost for a good amount of time. Maybe he makes his way back before the playoffs, and then that's a dude who was not ramped up. You got the Cleveland Cavaliers, which do you believe that that's like a real-time foe? The Bucks, who seem to either don't know how to play defense when they play offense or don't know how to play offense when they play defense. The Knicks, cool, right? Like the Pacers, who don't play. Who do they actually have competition in the East, or is this going to be a walk your way to the finals thing?
This is why I loved watching last night during the All-Star game. I was listening to Chuck and Draymond on the Outcast, and that's all they talked about for one quarter. This is what they talked about. And I'm listening to them, and they were just dropping knowledge bombs because Draymond's currently playing. And Chuck, all he does is watch the games and comment on TNT. Indiana Pacers, he said, you better watch out for the Pacers. You better watch out for Cleveland for real. And they also said that once OG gets back, the Knicks are legit. Right now, the Cavs are probably the most dangerous team. Milwaukee's right there. And the reason why, the Celtics are there to be had is because they haven't won at all, which would make you think they should be hungry enough to do so. Nobody's saying that they're going to be these teams are going to be the number one team in the East. We're talking about win the damn championship or go to the finals instead of the Celtics. The Celtics have been to the finals. They've been to the Eastern Conference Finals. They ain't won at all. And therefore their legacy is doubted. It's like, yeah, but they ain't. So there's why, that's why there's some hesitation.
Yeah. And it just feels like that is a team that is well built and put together.
Oh, I like the Celtics a lot myself.
Right. I don't know that there's anybody that's going to be able to challenge them. I know someone said Miami, and the Miami Heat are one of those teams that seem to just kind of put things together even when they do not in the regular season. I think this might, and this is going to be foolish of me because this feels like all the different things in sports where you're like, I'm going to doubt it, right? Like this is doubting touchdown Tom. This is all those things, right? But ultimately, it just does not look like they actually have this together. They needed offense in a bad way. They traded for Terry Rozier, which seemed like it would make sense, and still has not necessarily gotten them to play things that they needed.
He ain't going nowhere.
I mean, Jaime Jaquez has been good, but I mean, my good, I don't know.
Another one of the reasons why they were picking the Pacers to watch out for the Pacers, is because people forget who did they get in the trade in January?
Pascal Siakam.
Well,
which I forgot until at certain points during the season. So
see, listen, Pascal Siakam. You already got I got from Miles Turner.
Yes, Miles Turner, absolutely.
You got
Tyrese
Halliburton. I mean, Carlisle's coaching them.
So yeah,
Rick know how to coach in the playoffs.
That'll be an interesting thing. How about this? What the hell is going to happen in the West? Because it feels like there's 2 tiers. It feels like there's the top tier of maybe 4 teams. We talk about the Nuggets clearly up there. The Timberwolves. I mean, is this really, really about to happen? The Thunder, who are young but clearly have a lot of talent, and the Clippers, who they got a trade and then they let that lock in, and now it looks monstrous. And then there's another tier of just like a lot of different, the Suns, the Pelicans, your Dallas Mavericks, Kings, Lakers, Warriors, and it's just like, how is this ultimately going to work out? Because we've seen stretches where some teams were like, oh, no, that one isn't. And then we'll see them bounce back and we're like, oh, wait, we can't throw them out because they can play like that.
It's wide open. This is why I love watching that altcast. There was listening to a podcast while the All-Star game was happening last night because Draymond and Charles were nailing it. Chuck was nailing it. They said in the West, this is the way they put it.
Yes.
Draymond's. That's why that line about good luck in the play-in.
Yeah.
Because they were talking about this. Like, the Warriors, and they got to do it in the play-in, right?
Yeah.
Here's Draymond said, you know good and well Minnesota don't scare nobody. You know good and well Oklahoma City don't scare nobody. In the playoffs. Yeah, they got the record now, but nobody is afraid of them in the playoffs. And Oklahoma City too young. And then Draymond said they both agreed they have mad respect for Anthony Edwards.
Sure.
That's it. That's it. So Minnesota, who has shocked the world by being in the number one slot for so long, it's like, okay, they're an outlier. Then you got Oklahoma City, too young. This is like they can't get their first year together like this. And then you throw in, who's the third team? Denver.
Nuggets are
Denver. They say you never count out the Nuggets.
That's right.
He said the dangerous teams is what they were talking about. Chuck said he liked what the Mavericks did. He said, I love what the Mavericks did at the trade deadline, blah, 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 blah. He said, but the team watching. For some reason, Chuck said, watch out for the Pelicans. They got all this depth, and Zion, I give him credit. He got into shape, and he's staying in shape. This is Chuck saying that.
Yeah.
I don't believe it. I don't believe in the Pelicans. But the team they both agreed on, that's a dangerous team you better watch out for.
Your Dallas Mavericks.
No.
Dang it. I was hoping I could just will it into
the
existence.
Clips. They like the moves of Mavericks, but they said the Clippers because they're a veteran team, and they're talking about Kawhi being Kawhi and PG being PG. And they're talking about Harden. And I'm like, I already told you, I don't trust playoff Harden.
You've said that. You're
guess
right.
what they said the key was to this whole success of the Clippers?
What is it?
They said the key to the success of the Clippers is Russell Westbrook. By him saying, I'm going to come off the bench. And Russell Westbrook, they were talking about nobody. Charles Barkley said, as long as I've been retired, being with TNT, I have never seen a player play hard every freaking game, every night, much as Russell Westbrook. And they were talking about how all teammates love Russell Westbrook.
Correct.
And he said the key to that team having success was Russell Westbrook saying, you know what? I'm going to come off the bench.
That's their leader guy. That is their leader guy. So there you go. Those are some of the things that we're watching and big questions to be answered down the stretch run of the NBA season.
I'm picking the Mavericks.
I know you are.
Is that a surprise?
Other things that maybe consider.
You're such a homer, CA.
Which MVP well, I mean, you got good reasons. You've seen the way that they're playing of late. It looks good. Which MVP favorite will have the most compelling MVP moment? That's another thing to look out for.
Who do you think's going to get the MVP?
I'm not certain at this point. I feel like it might be a Jokic, another Jokic.
It could be another Jokic. Because when people ask, what about Luka? Because Luka's putting up phenomenal numbers, and he's doing this he was doing this through an injured roster. Okay, but I think I can't remember who saw it. I don't know if I told it to Will or told it to you or told it to the young guy.
You do a lot of shows.
I'm just all over the place. The deal with the Mavericks and Luka being the MVP. The Mavericks' record would have to be really up there for them to say, okay, he's carried the team this far. That's why they got this record. In other words, had the Mavericks had the Minnesota Timberwolves record this year, they were in first place. You're like, I don't know. They haven't really done anything, but they're in first place. Luka's the MVP. That's what they would say. But it's like the Mavericks have been good, but they haven't been great. Luka's been great, but because the Mavericks haven't been great along with him, they shrug their shoulders. And also, Luka's not Mr. Soundbite guy. That's the other part about it. He's available for the interviews, but Luka doesn't give you anything. He's very careful with his words. And because he's not soundbite guy, you're not going to get that.
Speaking of, he did a very interesting interview with J.J. Redick, Old Man and 3, I believe, a week ago.
Yes, he did. That's probably the best interview I've ever heard him do.
Not easy to get a lot of words out of him, but when you do, it can be really insightful.